Hi, You're listening to Ba. I'm Penny.
I'm Akira.
And I'm Janet. So welcome to episode 1, titled What is Hmong? Penny, I'll ask you to role play with me if that's okay.
Of course.
Imagine that you've started a new high school and you spot one of the cool kids coming towards you. Our conversation will go something like this. Hey.
Hi.
So where are you from?
Thailand?
Oh, so you're Thai.
Well, not exactly. I'm Hmong, but I was born in Thailand.
What's Hmong?
Well, that is the question I always get asked.
How hard is it, right? How
yes,
hard is that?
It is very challenging.
What do you actually say?
Hmong people are an ethnic group which originated from China back in the Genghis Khan days, where he impregnated so many women. And then the war broke out, and then, a lot of Hmong people fled, and some went to Vietnam, Laos, Thailand. Now, to my knowledge, there are Hmong people in the United States, in New Zealand, in France, and in Australia.
Or they'll say, are you Mongolian?
How hard is it, right?
It is hard.
How do you respond, Akira?
I say that we're a minority tribe. We're one of the hill tribes of Southeast Asia. And we migrated from China and into, Laos and Thailand. They're still very confused about what it is. And I think until the movie Gran Torino came out,
yes,
it was so hard to explain who I was or what I was. Yeah, and then they'll be like, I still don't know. And I think in the end, I just started telling everyone I was Chinese.
For convenience sake,
For convenience sake, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, being Hmong can be taboo within itself. I mean, how many times have we said, I'm Thai or I'm Laotian for the sake of dodging that hard explanation? Mm-hmm. What do you guys think the general perception of what Hmong people are when they think about their own people?
I think for me, when I was growing up, I just didn't know who I was because we were the first generation refugee. There was nothing else to refer to. And for a very long time, I was very disconnected with what my culture was. And I didn't actually even feel like I was Hmong. And it took a long time for me to actually come back to the community.
So if you didn't feel like you were Hmong, what were you?
I didn't know. I didn't know what I was. And I think, and also Asian representation at that stage was also not the best.
What about you, Penny? What do you think Hmong people think about themselves?
I can't speak for others. I can only really speak for myself. But I know that growing up, being born in Thailand and being Hmong and then migrating to Australia and then, growing up in Hobart in Tasmania and having to go to school, but then having to come back home and abide by all the Hmong cultures and the Hmong beliefs and everything that comes with being Hmong, it was like an identity crisis that I actually met, because for me it was like, okay, they like to have sleepovers, but then when I go back home and I'm like, oh, mum and dad, today I go to Poimiga, let me go sleep over. Is it okay if I go and sleep over? I go to Poimiga, and generally it's like, no, you can't do that. So growing up, I found it very, very, very challenging to really know my identity. Like I know I'm Hmong because that's what I've been taught to believe from my parents, but then also getting mixed in the Western culture as well, and the Western ways of being able to have friends, being able to go to shopping centers, being able to have friends sleepovers, and so for me it was really, really challenging. It wasn't until I was 23 that I really reconnected with Hmong and my identity as a Hmong woman.
Well, guys, I've always grown up around Australians my entire life. And it was only recently, well, when I say recently, in my later teens that I started interacting around Hmong. But I'll tell you guys a story that happened to me that really shook me a little bit. So, similar scenario of what you and I role played at the start there. I was starting a high school and this cool kid wanted to befriend me. and she came and she asked me the question, so what, where are you from? And I'm like, Sydney. And she's like, no, where are you from? And I'm like, Melbourne. I was born in Melbourne. And I finally realized that she was trying to say to me, what is your ethnicity? And the way she said it was, because, you're kids, right? So you don't really know how to use the English language properly. So she says, no, like, are you Cambodian? Because at the school there's a lot of Cambodians. And I'm like, no. And she goes, oh, well, what are you? And I said, oh, I'm Hmong. And as I said it, she started laughing, like hysterically laughing. She looks at the girl next to her and she says, did you just hear what she said? She said she's Hmong. And then she was just like, they both started laughing. And for the first time, because I didn't realize what was happening, but she was using Hmong in a derogative term.
Yes.
And I didn't know that, because to me, if you want to use the word mongulated, you just say mongulated. And so she was laughing and, calling me Hmong, and then telling everybody else that I was Hmong. And I didn't know that word was like, Hmong was used that way at that school, in such a derogative term. So it got me really embarrassed to say that, because I thought, is someone else going to do this? Like, is someone else going to have a crack at me? Is someone else going to try and, tease me? Am I going to get bullied? Yeah. So all of those feelings come rushing. And then I was scared to say that I was Hmong. Unlike you two, I wasn't educated in knowing what Hmong is, or where it came from, or where Hmong people came from. And so I didn't know.
But then even when we ask our parents, which I've asked my dad probably more than once or twice, like, Jie, and Hmong nè, Hmong lúc chặt chè or lời chữ sĩ, tua kia lo yo, Hmong chữ sĩ có từ tua kia. My dad's response is, oh, thầy bé này bé chỉ lo là con hai tia po, thầy bé kia to, po thầy bé kiểu thì để cho sure. But then it kind of ends there as well. So it's like, if we really want to get to the root of where do Hmong people come from and who are Hmong people, it's like we've got to like go back to our ancestors who may know, because even my dad, who's like 75, when I ask him, he can only tell me what his parents passed down. So when people ask me, I can only say what my parents passed down. And I assume in the future when people ask my daughter, she can only elaborate and tell what I passed down, so forth.
I found out more about Hmong people at university than I did from asking my parents. And so when I went to university, I did anthropology. They were talking about the hill tribes, and I found out there were other tribes, and it wasn't just Hmong. The Hmong were the largest tribes. But then there was the Karen, and there were other people, and I was like, oh my God, my mind is blown. There are other people like us who are landless.
Yes.
And then I found out that we were part of the Golden Triangle. So the Golden Triangle, it was a group of farmers who grew opium for Western country. I remember coming home, seeing Mum and Dad over dinner going, did you know we used to grow opium? And Mum goes, shh, do not tell anyone. I was like, they already know.
It was a thing. Like every family was doing it, right?
Like, overseas. It was a thing. It was villages. That's what the villages were doing.
I think that's why, if we backtrack back in those decades, there were a lot of older people who were smoking opium.
Yeah, they were addicted to it.
And very addicted to it. Yeah.
I think to go back to what you said there, Penny, about even when you're asked for, today, you still don't really know how to respond. I think it's fair to say, because our parents weren't really well educated. So
correct.
how also everything you hear is just kind of Chinese whispers. And is that Chinese? And as you know, the game Chinese whispers, things get changed along the way.
It does, yes.
And then to recap what you've said there, Akira, about, these minority cultures, is that in China, there are probably about 50 minority cultures and who don't identify themselves as Chinese,
Yes.
but yet we conveniently call it China and everyone Chinese for convenience sake.
Yeah.
When really there is, about 50 minority cultures and we happen to be one of those.
Yes.
So I just want to give credit to Dr. Gary Yea Lee. Many of you may know him. I won't go into too much detail as to who he is because I'm putting it out there in the universe that he'll hear this and then want to be a guest on our podcast to correct anything that we say wrong or endorse anything that we say right. So I want to credit Dr. Gary Yea Lee on his paper, Cultural Identity in Postmodern Society, Reflections on What is Hmong. I also want to give a shout out to his daughters, Cherie and Melinda, who helped put the paper together. And the reason why I am referencing Dr. Gary Yea Lee's paper is because he's collected information and there's a piece in it which I absolutely loved. And it says, the word Hmong means free people, which is the work of Dr. Yang Dao. Do you guys know that?
My dad told me that a long time ago, that it meant free people.
Wow.
And then I was like, well, what's Mao then? And he goes, that's what the Chinese call us. Don't say that word.
So your dad was actually offended by this word meow.
Yes.
Oh, in Vietnam, they
Yes.
call Hmong people the Mao people too.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't know that until probably like 5 weeks ago when I heard it from my Vietnamese friend. She was asking me where I come from. And I said, I'm Hmong. And she goes, Hmong. And I'm like, yes, there's Hmong people in Vietnam too, up in the mountains. And then she was having a conversation to one of her Vietnamese uncles as we were all there. And she was speaking in Vietnamese. Like, oh, she said that she's Hmong. And she said there's Hmong people in Vietnam. And then the uncle goes, Mao people. And she goes, so you're Mao? And I'm like, I'm Mao? No, I'm Hmong. And she's like, it took me a bit to understand that Hmong people in Vietnam are called Mao.
According to Dr. Gary Lee's paper, he actually writes about meow in there too. And I think it is all open to interpretation on how you see it, is depending on how you look at it. He does also mention that some Hmongs do find offence to it.
Yeah.
There's a bit in here that he's got titled, What Makes a Hmong Hmong? And I highlighted specifically, if you read this document, it's just amazing. He talks about, what Hmong people look like, the origins, religion, their beliefs, even power. Power plays a part into it as well. So Hmong people back in the days believed that they had this, they believed they were gods. Like they believed they were powerful.
Wow.
And he writes, the survival of the Hmong culture rests with Hmong children. And the children have to know and take pride in that culture in order for them to adopt it, to pass it on to future generations. And I love that. I think
That's
that just
beautiful.
blew me
Yeah.
away, And I
That's
think
very beautiful.
we don't do that enough. We don't embrace it enough. And if we don't embrace it enough, then how do we pass it on? And if we here, educated people, are struggling to explain what Hmong is, just imagine our kids,
Well, you know what? Funny you say that because I know that I know many younger generation who don't understand Hmong, don't speak Hmong anymore. And if they don't understand Hmong and they don't speak Hmong, then moving forward to them, it's like it's just going to diminish.
That's what I used to think. But what I've seen is that our generation who have grown up and had children, we've made some sort of 360 where we've been able to find an identity for ourselves in Australia and say, I'm Hmong, and embrace that. And I've seen by us embracing that we are Hmong, we've passed that love down to our children. So now I see 20-year-olds, like 16-year-olds, 8-year-olds who can speak and write Hmong and read Hmong. And to me, when I was growing up in my teenage years, I thought that ours was a dying language. But then seeing a revival in it and these being carried forward by our younger generation has been really, really hopeful.
Well, I remember when I was growing up back in Hobart, Tasmania, I went to Hmong school. to learn how to read Hmong and to learn how to
many
write
kids were in that
Hmong.
class?
Probably like a good 15 or so. But honestly, back in that day, we took it as like a social thing. We'd still go and, but to us, it was like a social thing, because, mong nhiều hơn go, mong nhiều hơn đâu. Bên này biết gì sao biết mình gần tới mong, mình gần luôn mong, một xong tới mong, but, at the same time, where they're interacting as like a social gathering, because it was just like once a week for like an hour. And besides that, we don't really see interaction between, biết giờ mình nhiều hơn go, nhiều hơn đâu, so we use the opportunity to interact. At the same time, we were learning, and, I guess for me, growing up and having the opportunity to go to Hmong school, it allowed me to learn how to speak Hmong, to learn how to write Hmong. But I must say that lasted for a good 6 months or so. And then I kind of veered off a little bit where I was speaking Hmong, but it wasn't yeah. I could still speak it, but I would slur or I would not say the right words in the right sentence. And at times I would just speak bluntly English to my parents.
It's like Monglish.
Penny, that's me right now.
And my mum would say to me, and I'm like,
don't lie, Mum. Yes,
yeah.
you do.
I'm like, but Mum, I'm not sure how to say it in Hmong. She's like, don't you lie to me. So for me, I had to be able to read Hmong again, and in order for me to read Hmong, I was singing. I was learning how to sing Hmong, which allowed me to read it because
What song?
Well, one of my favorite songs is from Banya Xiong from the United States. It's called Nia.
All right, we're going to link
give
that.
us a little bit. Yeah. Give us the chorus. How does it go?
Go
Come
on.
You're putting me on the spot here.
It's not like you haven't sung it 100 times.
I can't remember the chorus, but I know that one of her verses, and I'm sorry, Banya, I'm really not doing you justice right now, but the girls are really putting me on the spot.
It's peer pressure.
And if you could really see me right now, my face is bright red. But one of your verses that I completely love is, can I just say it? Do I have to sing it? Nia, it says Nia, that song Nia from Banya, like the first time I listened to it, I cried and I was determined to learn those lyrics. When you listen to that song, it's like, Mum, I know I haven't been the best daughter, but you still love me unconditionally. And just the meaning behind her song, when she sings it, there is so much emotion that overflows over her, and you can just connect to the song. And that song really resonates with me. So I was determined to learn that song, and that's how I was able to read Hmong again. Is learning that song and being able to read it, because in order to sing it, you need to be able to read it.
Yeah.
There you go, guys. Karaoke Hmong.
Yeah.
The new way of learning.
Yeah, definitely. And we will link Banya Xiong's song to this podcast as well. Yes. So if any of you guys know who Banya Xiong is, or you want to listen to this song to see if you guys can resonate with the songs, I highly, highly recommend it. And I promise you will cry.
And if you happen to record it, please put it up on our page, because we want to see it.
I'm having a laugh because I was doing like a sort of chat with my husband about this topic, and I was telling him about the bully girl, the girl that was making me feel like, embarrassed. And just as he brought up the song, my husband's like, "What is Hmong? Baby, don't hurt me." I started laughing because it was so relevant to me feeling hurt, and now you're talking about the song. So that was really funny. Did you have anything else to say, ladies, on the topic?
Only one story, which was that in regards to how I realized that Mao was a slur, was that my dad once told me when I was a baby, in the refugee camp, I had been playing out in the streets or something like that. And then bedtime, I was laying in bed going, "Meow, meow." And he was like, "Where did you learn that word from?"
I like that story.
That is so amazing.
That is where it originated from. I love that.
I think I want to finish this off by saying that I love being Hmong. I do.
Yes.
I really
Yeah.
love
Good.
being Hmong. The more I am connecting myself to Hmong, I fall in love with it more. However, in saying that, me being me, not everything that falls under the umbrella of being a Hmong person resonates with me. And you guys will hear all about that moving forward into more of our episodes. So if you want to know, you better be staying tuned and following us.
I think I agree with you, Penny.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I learn, in terms of the more I learn about Hmong and the more I learn the language, as you know, many of you may know, I'm a Hmong interpreter.
Mm-hmm.
I just fall in love with it. And it's such a beautiful language. Like I love how beautiful the sentences, the Hmong sentences, and what do they call, like the like phrases, you know, they have certain phrases that Hmong people put, you know, the old generation Hmong put together, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's as if like, you know, if you speak real, true, authentic Hmong and you want to speak it in a way like, I would say like my mum and dad's generation, I guess, you know, and this may resonate with you, with your parents as well, listeners. It's that sometimes
I don't know what you just said.
Bahua?
but bahua is like, God, how would I say it in English now? I guess bahua is like a rhyme.
I just wanted to go back to, you know, what other people think about Hmong. I don't know if you guys feel the same about this, but as you guys were talking, I remember growing up, Hmong people always seem to not like other Hmong people. They always think like, you know, and especially when I started doing interpreting, like I had a lot of people be like, oh, you know, I don't want to become a Hmong interpreter because Hmong people just give each other problems all the time. And it really almost started to create fear in me. So I'm here thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a Hmong interpreter and everyone's just going to like, you know, be nasty to me and they're not going to accept me and I'm not even that good at it. But, you know, honestly, guys, as I have started my career as an interpreter, everyone's been lovely. Like everyone has actually been supportive and it's completely changed the way I look at Hmong people. And I'm like, you know, hold on, guys. Hmong people are actually very caring and loving and kind and supportive of my journey. And they, you know, I love it when I'm giving away all of my tricks now. But I love it when sometimes when I'm interpreting for a much mature gentleman, he'll say, "Oh, mente," and he uses that word mente, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so sweet. He called me mente." Yeah. You know, and then some of them are like, "Oh, meme," you know, and I just think that is such a sweet, endearing term. And you know, everyone has been supportive, so I would like us to reevaluate the way we look at our own people, because whilst a lot of us think, oh, you know, Hmong people, betchi shipa shitlo, or betchi, you know, we're not supportive of others or that person, at the end of the day, we're all working towards one objective. And then at the end of the day, when this one Hmong girl comes to interpret for you, you don't even care who she is. You're just so helpful that she's here to help you. And that's one thing I've noticed that I've really embraced and loved and why I continue to do the work that I do.
I think when it comes to that topic, Jana, I think I feel as though, and personally I've experienced, it's not that law, but it's because they have differences and they can't see eye to eye regarding certain topics. They just see these differently. But what I love about the Hmong people, and I speak purely just for Hmong Australians right now, only because Betty Hmong Australia, Hmong Shiba, you know, usually Shiba, each and every one. When someone passes away, everyone shows up. You know, even though when we have, you know, we have a yearly celebration or you have your, you know, maybe not everyone shows up. But then when someone passes away, I've noticed everyone shows up. Even if there's rivals between you, even if you don't see eye to eye, everyone shows up to pay their respect and to let the family know that we are here and we're mourning with you as well and that we love you.
Let's go back to what I used to say to people when they asked me where I'm from. And I would struggle. Now, it just reminded me, I remember not long ago, I had one of the guys at work. He asked me about, you know, my ethnicity. And I said to him, well, I'm Hmong. And he goes, oh, I don't know that. And I said, well, we're a minority group. I was born in Thailand, but we're landless. But the really cool thing about being Hmong is that we're split up in tribes, and my tribe is Lee. And then so if there's another Lee person in, say, the UK or in America, they're automatically connected to me somehow because they're Lee as well. And that's family. And it's like having family all around the world.
Yes.
And he was like, that is so cool. I was like, I know, it's great, isn't it?
Did you guys know that Hmong people Moko sing?
I think I read it somewhere.
The 18 clans. Yeah. I wasn't aware until probably last year that there was the 18 clans, because there's like the Khan, Hmong. And don't quote me, listeners, but because we don't have these rest of the clans in Australia. We have the very basic ones, correct, which is Hmong Ya, Hmong Va, Hmong Tho, Hmong Mua, Hmong Lo, Hmong Li, so forth. We don't have the other ones that we've never really heard of. And it wasn't just until my recent travels, going to America a few times, that I've known that we have 18 clans.
Well, there was a song, there was a rap song.
Oh,
this Hmong group.
Right.
Yeah, that I saw, and I posted it up on Facebook.
I saw it.
You'll have to link that.
I'm going to link that. It is such a cool rap song. And they talked about the 18 clans, and I was like, wow, it's so rich. Like our culture, so full of all these tiny little details that I think that nobody else realizes, just, how intricate our culture is, and you forget it. You forget that all these little things exist.
Yeah, and when I was in America, people were like, oh, có sing achi, and I'd be like, oh, có sing Hmong Mua. Oh, có Hmong Mua po, có Hmong Mua chicha. And I'm like, oh, có Hmong Mua chicha. Oh, có Hmong Mua chicha chứ, có po bao sĩ san tấu mua nhưng mà I'm like, cô tôi khi mà cô chỉ bao mà, đó là cô chỉ lấy được hai tiền, cô chỉ đặt thông cô chỉ cho cái tí, tôi nhớ tới thằng mình cả nói chứ, bây giờ mua ít tu hoa sĩ san tấu mong mua, thầy nhớ Minnesota nói chỉ chọn nó That's it. So it's worth kind of learning about your background of your actual tree of where you branched off from. Because if I had said quý mong một bò, then I'd be like, oh, quý mong bò. And các people don't know, I'd be like, yeah. You know what I mean? So it's really important to know that.
Look, you've got a 50-50 chance, honey. So if you ever forget, pick the other one.
And my dad has always said to me, if you go to America and people ask you, you just say, ta có yêu mong một chữ cha, có cho cái tí yo. Do not. Which is the one that I've just mentioned.
The descendant of the descendant.
The rest will So the ones that are more my dad's generation, that a lot of the Hmong will still know, or people will still know who are not Hmong, but they will know that he bet you is Sandalmore.
I wanted to say, Kira, when you were talking about just how amazing our culture is, I was having a chat with my cousin just a couple of days ago, and she was saying that her sister was reading an article about how Hmong people, we are one of the very few that have like untouched culture, like, our rituals, because it's not integrated with the Western culture, whilst a lot of the other cultures have been, integrated with Western
that's
society.
So true, because it's like, it's not like, when you watch like a shaman doing, like hupali and that has changed.
When I say I'm Australian, it is in response to the question, what is your nationality? Yeah. Because I was stuck in an airport, and if you're ever stuck in an airport and someone has decided to flee the country, what happens is border security come. So usually what happens is they will check your passports at the gates of entry, and then you sit around and wait, and then you enter once the gates open. But in this particular case, all these border securities came, and they actually lined up where the gate was, and so they'd make you line up, and then you'd have to hand them your passport, which is an Australian passport, and they would say, and he asked me a really tricky question. He tried to be tricky, and he goes, you're Chinese. And I had to say, no, I'm Australian, because someone was trying to flee the country, and they're trying to find them. So they're trying to pretty much, what's the word where you try and
It's like entrapment.
Yeah, correct. So when the question is, what is your nationality? I would say Australian.
Yes.
But I would answer Hmong to the question, what is your ethnicity? And I think it depends on the person you're speaking with. Like if they're completely just cultural ignorant, like if they don't have any, sort of cultural awareness, then you know what they're trying to say. But, sometimes you're a smart ass about it, right? So you can answer however you want.
But that's true to the fact. On our passport, it is. Our nationality is Australian. And then it proceeds to say, where are you born? And then it says Thailand.
Yeah.
But then just in general, if people say, what's your nationality? Would you say Australian?
I would say that because Australia is a nation.
Yes.
And so, that's the nation we come from. So my nationality is Australian. And I think when you look at words, to me, words mean so much more, and the way we interpret words as well, and ensuring that we use the right words in the right context too. So personally for me, I would have said Australian if they asked me what my nationality was. But if they wanted to know my ethnicity, then I would correct them and I would say, oh, you mean my ethnicity. And so that we can then help educate them to ask us the right questions.
Correct.
Let's get into some inspo time. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. We, Hmong, are a culture of people that has proven to rise above adversity time after time. This has been shown in our ancestral roots during the resistance against China, again in the political oppression of what we are known as the Secret Army during the Viet Cong War, and our fleet from Laos and Thailand into countries of freedom were not without suffering. We find ourselves as children to parents living in poverty, caught in domestic violence, abuse, neglect, abandonment, and yet here we stand today. Many of us as entrepreneurs, health professionals, legal professionals, creatives, super mums, selfless dads, and so much more. A tool that we here at Bar would like to part with for all of our Hmong peeps to be able to take away and use when someone asks you what is your ethnicity. Here's a way you can answer. I am Hmong. Hmong meaning free people. We are a minority group without a country. However, many of us call Australia home. What do you think?
I think that's amazing. Definitely.
I have
to memorize that.
And
and then you guys will have to teach me to say it in Hmong so I can parrot back to people.
And then you can play that song. We still call Australia. All right, thank you so much to all you beautiful listeners. We are totally going to link the Dr. Gary Yea Lee's paper.
Yes.
Pennies,
Banyashong,
and
18 clan rap.
So you have to go to our website, check it out, check out our links, and tune in for our next topic.
Oh, and would also like to hear from you how you answer what your ethnicity is, what you say, and if you have any interesting stories as well, please let us know.
And lastly, because we are Hmong here, Gusa Ocho the Ejong near the Pongimochwashada, or Nemonelo Shiho, Lokong, Lodo Benyo Pusho, what you are no Mong Be, Kopa, Hmong Women Talk Show. Onecho, Abema Shinji do episode or.
That's sexy.
If you enjoyed this podcast, you have to head over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and follow us on Facebook.